Once again, beloved ones, happy Father's Day to all of our fathers. Be they fathers, uncles, brothers, nephews. And I always, reflect back to my childhood whenever we have these types of holidays. And I don't know if you had this challenge, but it was always a challenge to try and find the right and perfect gift for my father, especially as a child. You didn't have a lot of money, so it was either going to be a tie, right, or some socks. Maybe if you had a lot, a shirt, right? A bottle, my favorite was a bottle of Old Spice. Now, I know I'm dating myself, but I can see the druggist now and the Old Spice bottle. Don't know whether my father liked Old Spice or not, but you see Old Spice, or maybe some soap on a rope. You remember the soap on the rope? Crazy gifts, but that's what we were given to share. But nowadays, the gifts are a little bit more sophisticated. They're still sort of pushing power tools. I saw in the TV commercial, I don't know if it was Home Depot, and the father's trying to drill something in the wall of his daughter's home or something, and she goes, it's the moment you recognize that your father's power tools are not as good as they used to be. So the inference is she needs to go out and get him a real, power tool or whatever. And I'm thinking about, usually they would advertise as if all men want to do is fix things. Now there's a quality, let's be honest, there's a quality to the divine masculine that does have a tendency to want to fix things. I don't know if you remember reading John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and he would say that, women, we just want you to listen to our challenges and problems, but men, they don't want to listen, they just want to fix it. So the moment you start talking, they're trying to get to the solution. Well, and you just need to process. You just want to get it out. They want to what? Fix it and solve it. And that's fine. I mean, it works hand in hand. But we're even further along than just buying, Dad some power tools, because the Renaissance man, or this new image of of men is changed so, and the gifts have morphed. I mean, you'll have men that are into getting some spa treatments, a gift for a spa treatment. When I go to, they're not ashamed to go get a mani-pedi, right? When I go to get my nails, there could be a big old guy sitting there with some crusty feet getting his feet done. And I love it. Years ago, you would not catch a guy in a salon getting his feet or his nails done. Now they just walk right up on there, sit in the chair. Why not? Right? I think it's marvelous. Because you certainly don't want anybody tearing up your sheet with those crusty feet. You want the feet to be smooth. You want those nails clean, right? You're going to hold my hand, you got to come right with the cleanness. But I love it because what it says is that, you could give a gift of going to a play or concert or whatever, but the limits and the boundaries that we put on people are just falling away. And people are able to enjoy all of life without the category, of saying, oh, I'm boxing here, I can only do this. No, I can carry the baby close to my chest if with an apparatus to do that as well as Mama can. And it just makes life, I think, so much easier for us to be able to acknowledge the goodness in all people, the divine qualities in the male and in the female, the divine masculine qualities in the female as well as the feminine qualities in the male, because if you get down to it, we have both. See? Yes, there's a tendency for us to unfold and express in a certain way, but we have both. You can't say that men don't know how to love or can't be sensitive. I've heard that when you were all expressing, that your daughters taught you, wow, there's the softer side, the sensitive side. And so it's a beautiful thing because times have indeed changed, and even the qualities of the gifts that we give have changed. Now, speaking about gifts, while we are wondering what gifts we're going to give for those of us who have, fathers who are here on the planet, and what you'd want to do, our Father, the divine creator of life, is showering us with gifts. Showering us with gifts. I've always been intrigued by this phrase, and I heard it the other day, and I thought, let me meditate on this a little bit. But it was on a phrase that's found in James 1, verses 17. And it says this: every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of his creation. Now, I've heard that phrase oftentimes, Father of lights, as a way to describe God. And I thought that's such an unusual term, because of what lights? Father of lights, what does that really mean? And so whenever I get confused, I always try to read several different translations of a scripture, and maybe I get something from that as well. Or I might have to look at it metaphysically to understand it a little better. So I said, well, let me read the different translations. So from the New International Version, it says this: every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. And from the New Living Translation, it says this: whatever is good and perfect comes down to us from God our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow. He chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word, and we, out of all creation, became his prized possessions. And the first one I read was from the King James. This is how the Message puts it: every desirable and beneficial gift comes out of heaven. The gifts are rivers of light cascading down from the Father of light. There is nothing deceitful in God, nothing two-faced, nothing fickle. He brought us to life using the true word, showing us off as the crown of all his creations, of all his creatures, rather, and his creations. And I like this because as I looked at it, I certainly gleaned that from the scripture that God, as the Father of lights, some say the Father of lights, some say the Father of light, right? But what I gleaned is that what we're given is good and perfect gifts, right? All good and perfect gifts, desirable things, come down from above, from the Father of light. So one of the things that we're going to receive is some good and perfect gifts. And to me, the gift starts with the gift of light, because it's given from the Father of light. Now, light was the first thing that was created after the heavens and earth. In Genesis, the first words of Genesis says that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Let me read that to the first three things of Genesis, because I think it's important for us to hear. So it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was all over the surface of the deep, And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. So heaven and earth are created first, but then to bring forth this heaven and earth, light is the next creation, right? And God said, "Let there be light." So light is very powerful, because what that tells me is that in the beginning of everything, right? In the beginning of everything in the heavens, there is light. That the heavens move into the heaven and earth. That everything starts with heaven and earth. And so for me, the heaven and earth, if we look at this metaphysically, we might as well just jump on into it quickly. If we look at heaven, heaven is the realm, now I'm talking metaphysically, heaven is the realm of divine ideas. It's the exalted, the ideas of absolute good, right? Absolute goodness that is God. Heaven is that realm of these ideas that are whole and complete and perfect in themselves. They're infinite, right? They're creative because they come from God mind, right? So that's what heaven is, that realm of divine ideas that are in God mind, that are whole, complete, perfect, infinite in God mind. That's the first thing. And then it says that's the heaven. But then from there, the realm of earth. Earth represents the manifestation of things. Earth represents that physical expression of those ideas. Heaven and earth, the realm where divine ideas are created by God mind that move into manifestation, into what? Physical expression, visible expression. That's the earth. So we have ideas, and then we have the expression of those ideas, or the manifestation of those ideas. Now, we call this two things. We call it part of the creative process, because all things that come into being first start as a divine idea. There is nothing that comes into manifestation that was not first an idea. This thing was an idea. This is an idea. This cup was an idea. Right? So everything begins. God created the heavens, the divine idea, the realm of ideas. And these ideas then get what? Expressed into physical. They become a thing, a manifestation. So we have this creative process. Idea, heaven, earth, expression. Right? And so what we get when we think about this, and we also know this as the law of mind and action. And those of you who know, when you take my new members class, I tell you should also memorize the law of mind action, which is what? Let me see who knows that. That's what I'm talking about. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. We call it the law of mind and action, or the creative process. This is how things come into being, right? And so, the first thing from this scripture here, the first thing in the creative process, first that is established. God created the heavens and the earth. He created the creative process. Hold the thought in mind, it gets expressed out. That's what the creative process. So that's what's created first. Once the process has been created, then the next creation was what? Light. Light. Which symbolizes what? Awareness, consciousness, the ability to know how. So we have been given the gift of a process of bringing things from the invisible into visibility. The process is the gift, but then knowing how to, that's the process, but knowing what you want to bring is the gift, right? That's the light. It is the understanding. So light is very significant, to be able to know what you want to bring into manifestation through, or to give life to this idea through the creative process. You got to know what you want to know. right? You have to have an idea. We're talking about intentionality. You have to know what you want to know. Some people say, well, I don't know what I want to do with life, or I don't know. Well, then fine, that's what you get. Confusion, right? Lack of direction. But the moment you get clear and you're pinpointed on what it is that you want, you have a process for bringing it into manifestation. You're not a victim of life, walking around in ignorance and not knowing. You have the ability to know. This is what light gives us, the ability to know. We associate light with wisdom and awareness and consciousness and this knowing. Now, light has many purposes. It's also associated with life energy, right? Because very few things can be on earth that can come into being or can come to life without light, right? Light is very synonymous. But two things that we need: some water for life, and we need light so that plants and things grow. They grow through through that light. So we need to, it's also a symbol for life itself. Life itself. So light is energy and life-bearing substance. It is the expression or represents growth and expansion and infinite possibilities, right? That seed carries infinite possibilities, but when the seed is planted in the soil and it's given water, a symbol for what? Life. And it is also given what? Light, a symbol for life. It does what? It grows and expands. So we're given then this powerful thing of being able to understand what the Father of Lights gives us, or the Father of Light. It gives us everything that is needed for life, everything that's needed for growth, everything that's needed for expansion, for understanding, right? For knowing. And so this is the gift. We get the gift of the creative process, and then the wisdom to know how to bring it forth into manifestation. Because you can be given a gift, but if you don't know how to work it or use it, then what good is it? You ever get a gift that you're like, well, what is this? They meant well, but I have no idea what this is for. So you got to get the gift, but you have to have the know-how of what it is so that you can use the gift and be blessed by the gift and be benefited from the gift. So the question I want to ask is, what are you doing with your gift of creation? What are you creating? What are you doing with the divine ideas in your life? Are you drawing upon divine ideas in mind, in your mind, and then bringing those ideas forth into manifestation or expression? And are you doing this consciously? Are you working with this process of being a co-creator with God? Or, you might be sitting around waiting for God to give you gifts, to give you things. And I say, stop sitting around waiting for God to give you things. He does not give you things. He gives you the ideas from which you can create things, right? He gives you the ideas that you can draw upon. So if you want $1 million thing, you need to get $1 million idea first. And when you have $1 million idea, then you create that $1 million thing, that $1 million experience. And even if something were to happen with a unique type of blessing where somehow or another the man from Publishers Sweepstake comes knocking on your door and he gives, you get $1 million, but even that comes from consciousness, right? So what are we doing with the gifts that we're giving? How are we using this ability to bring forth good and perfect gifts from above that come from the Father of Lights, that come from a higher consciousness, that comes from this ability that we have to go up to the upper room in mind and in consciousness and sit and allow God to impress our consciousness with wonderful ideas. Go do this, go do that. Oh, yeah. But you got to be available for that to happen, right? Or you got to be willing to catch those flashes of intuition. Because ideas come to us constantly, but we like so busy doing and moving or whatever, we don't catch it. Or we catch it, but we ignore it, or whatever. So creation is happening all the time. God is always bringing forth its creation because it's nonstop. Life doesn't stop. Creation doesn't stop. The presence of God doesn't stop. But we got to catch that vision, to have that provision. Catch those things. So what are we doing with these divine ideas? Because all of them, these good and perfect gifts, come from above, from a higher consciousness, the Father of lights. And when we understand how this works, then we can go deeper with it, because not only are we always given these wonderful divine ideas, but we can actually seek the presence and the wisdom of the divine, because God is always present, right? The good is always present, and God's good is present, it's steady, it's sure, the scripture says, with no variations or shadows of turning. Which means when I look at that and I interpret that, a shadow is made when an object blocks light. When an object blocks light, a shadow is cast. Or it says that a transparent object will not make any shadow, because the light will pass straight through that object when it's transparent. But when there's a blockage, that blockage of light casts what? A shadow. And so sometimes we have to recognize we're praying for God's light, but you are filled with objects that are blocking the light. Fear, doubt, whatever, hatred or scarcity, belief in lack, all these things cast a shadow, right? Because they block the light. God is pure light. His ideas are pure and whole, and they funnel through a clear vessel, a clear channel. So our task is to make sure that we are as clear as possible, so that we can be a mighty reflection of God's light and God's goodness and God's blessings, that there isn't anything standing in the way, that when God's good wants to flow to us and through us, God's essence, God's presence, God's being is good. When that presence of God wants to be expressed, there's nothing to stand in the way. No variations, no shadows, no deceitfulness. I love it. It says that the message said that there was no deceitfulness in God, that there was no fickleness. Sometimes we say, well, God, if maybe God would bless me. God is always blessing everybody and everything. God is not a fickle God, nor is God a capricious God that says, okay, I like you, I'm going to shine through you, I'm not going to shine through you, I'm going to do. God's light is always shining. So we have to look within ourselves to see, what blockages do I have? Where am I that I might be standing in my own way, casting shadows of doubt upon my life? Let me look into the light. And let me see and behold not only God's presence, but my own presence. My own light in God. Light is so powerful. The light of God is powerful. Because in God's light, there are no mistakes, there are no doubts, there are no fears, there's no incompleteness. Everything is known in the light of God. God is that omniscient, or what is omniscience? All-knowing. God is the Father of lights, all-knowing, all wisdom, all understanding, omniscience, all of that. And so when we get into that presence of the all-known, we know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. But you've got to make yourself available to the all-knowing presence of God as the light of God in you, the knowingness of God. I was laughing with my mother. She likes to tell the story of my youngest brother, who, when he was a little kid, and he was speaking to someone, and he told them that they could ask his father. He said, because my daddy knows everything. And it was so wonderful, because to him, his daddy knew everything. And so, you don't know, he told you can ask my daddy. He knows everything. Are we asking our daddy? Because he knows everything. Everything that we need. He knows everything about our lives, everything what's happening. But do we ask? Do we approach feeling safe and secure, knowing that we can trust that God's presence is always there for us? That there's nothing that God would ever withhold from his beloved creations and his children, right? God knows it all and God shows it all. He knows and he shows. It's up to us. The provision is there, but we have to be willing to do our part to bring the provision into manifestation. Grace is always happening. Thank God for grace. But we're under grace, but we also must work and do our part in consciousness to bring forth these perfect and good gifts. And the thing that I love about this scripture is that it tells us and reminds us that we are worthy of every good thing. We are worthy of it because what the scripture said was that we were prized, that we not only are the beloved children, but that he created us like we were first fruits. And first fruit of his creations, or that we were the crown of all his creatures, or that we were his prized possession. Now that's some good stuff, right? Because first fruits, when you have the first fruits represent the best of something, right? That first fruit is sweet and it's good and it's ripe. The first fruits represents a choice expression. Which is why in the old biblical days, when they made their gifts and their offerings, they would bring God the first fruits of their labor, or the first fruits, if it was a cow, that first fruit of that cow, the first fruit of the tree. So it's choice, it's prize, and if you're prized, you're valued. And what we have to understand that we are the pride and joy of God as beloved children, as beloved expressions. And we have been created not only to have the very best, but to be and to do the very best, because that's how God created us. That's the consciousness. It says he brought forth us through the word of truth as his prized possessions. We are created. And God is always at the ready to bless his creations, to acknowledge. Because the thing that God said after he created light, the water, whatever, he said what? It was good. It was good. So when we understand that God loves us as divine and prized and choice and fabulous expressions, that it's good and we are good. And our task is to simply bring forth those fruits, to bring forth what is in heaven, to bring it forth into the earth, to claim our gifts, to claim our blessings, to raise our consciousness to receive the good that is ours. And so we never want to forget, friends, that we are the beloved of God. Never want to forget that it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. But seek ye first what? The kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Seek first that higher consciousness, and then all of the things will be added unto us. The Father of lights will give us all. Life, growth, success, blessings, all of that. It will give us all of that. But we must acknowledge that process and participate openly in the creative process of light, letting our light shine. And when you let your light shine brightly, it means that you're clear. See, when the brighter your light, the clearer you are. The brighter your light, it means your heart is open. You can love more. When your light's shining brightly, you have more power because you know who you are. All these other little things are gone and dissipated. And only the presence of God as light shines through you. No shadows, no variations, no limitation, because you are the child of the Father of lights. So shine brightly and have a wonderful, blessed Father's Day. Namaste.